Hey everyone, today we're diving deep into a topic that's important for all of us: consent. This isn't just a buzzword, it's about respect, understanding, and trust in every interaction. When I was younger, I didn't fully grasp what consent meant. It even cost me a dear childhood friend. It was a harsh lesson, and it took me a long time to understand just how important clear and enthusiastic consent is. It's not just about getting a yes. It's about making sure that that yes is genuine and freely given. In this video, we're going to break down what consent really means and talk about how we can all do better. Consent isn't just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing conversation that we need to have openly and honestly. So let's dive in and get real about this, because understanding and practicing consent isn't about just avoiding making mistakes. It's about building trust, respect, and healthier relationships. Let's get into it. There was a time where I didn't fully understand what consent really meant. I thought persistence was key, and that if I just kept trying, I could change a no into a yes. I remember a specific instance where I tried to convince a close friend to go further than she was comfortable with. I didn't realize how much pressure I was putting onto her. Losing that friendship hurt a lot, but it made me realize how wrong I was. It took a lot of learning, listening, and reflecting to understand that consent is about more than just getting a yes. It's about making sure that that yes is freely given without any pressure. But there's another side to this. There were times when my misunderstandings about consent was used against me. I remember agreeing to sex, but then things went further than I was comfortable with. I didn't know how to say no or take my consent back. I thought because I initially wanted it that I was fully locked in. These moments were confusing and made me feel powerless. I realized that consent isn't just a one-time agreement. It's ongoing, and you always have the right to change your mind. Understanding this has been crucial for me, both in respecting others' boundaries and in asserting my own. These experiences have taught me that consent is about clear, ongoing understanding and mutual respect. It's something we need to talk about openly without shame or fear. So let's break down what consent actually means. Consent is about giving permission for something to happen or agreeing to do something. It's crucial that this permission is given freely and enthusiastically. If there's any doubt, it's best to ask and clarify. Consent must be freely given. It should come without any pressure, manipulation, or influence from drugs or alcohol. Consent must be reversible. You can change your mind at any time, even if you've already said yes. Consent must be informed. Everyone involved should know exactly what they're agreeing to. Consent must be enthusiastic. A yes should be genuine and eager, not just the absence of a no. Consent must be specific. Agreeing to one activity doesn't mean agreeing to others. Each activity requires its own consent. Understanding these principles helps ensure that everyone involved feels respected and comfortable. Let's tackle some common myths and misconceptions that cause confusion and harm. Setting the record straight on these can help us understand consent better and avoid dangerous situations. First off, silence is not consent. Just because someone isn't saying no doesn't mean that they're saying yes. Consent should be a clear, enthusiastic agreement. Next, what someone wears or how they act does not imply consent. Clothes and behaviors are not invitations for anything. Consent must be explicitly given regardless of appearance. Another big one is past consent does not imply future consent. Just because someone agreed to something before doesn't mean that they're going to agree to it now. Just because someone agreed to something before in the past doesn't mean that they're agreeing to something now. Every situation is different, and consent needs to be established every time. Being in a relationship doesn't mean automatic consent. Even if you're dating or married, you still need to ask and ensure your partner is comfortable with whatever's happening. Lastly, consent cannot be obtained through pressure or manipulation. If someone feels coerced or forced, that's not real consent. It should always be given freely and willingly. These myths can create dangerous assumptions. By understanding and respecting what consent actually means, we can create safer and more respectful interactions. Talking about consent at first might feel awkward, but it's absolutely necessary. Open and honest conversations are the foundation of any healthy relationship. Here's the thing, asking questions like, "Are you comfortable with this?" or "Do you want to keep going?" might not feel sexy at first, but they show a lot of care and respect for your partner's feelings and boundaries. It's about making sure everyone's on the same page and genuinely comfortable with what's happening. Imagine how empowering it feels when someone checks in with you and ensures that you're on the same page. Don't wait for a problem to arise before you talk about consent. Make it a regular part of your interactions. Normalize these conversations so that they become second nature. It can be as simple as regularly checking in with your partner, especially if things start to change or escalate. Remember, good communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening too. Pay attention to your partner's verbal and nonverbal cues. If they seem hesitant or uncomfortable, stop and have a conversation. Creating an environment where both partners feel comfortable to express their preferences and their boundaries leads to more fulfilling and respectful experiences. It builds trust and deepens your intimacy. So let's start normalizing these conversations about consent. It's a small step that can make a huge difference in our relationships and in our lives. Now let's talk about how consent contributes to building healthy relationships and the empowerment that comes with it. First off, practicing consent is a cornerstone of any healthy relationship. It builds trust and shows that you respect your partner's feelings and boundaries. When both people feel safe to express their needs and limits, it builds a more fulfilling and respectful connection. Consent isn't just about avoiding negative outcomes, it's about creating positive experiences. When you know your boundaries are respected, it fosters a deeper sense of trust and intimacy. Regularly checking in with your partner and being open about your own boundaries helps to keep the relationship healthy and strong. Empowerment is another key aspect of consent. Understanding and practicing consent empowers you to take control of your own body and choices. It's about recognizing that you have the right to set your own boundaries and to expect them to be respected. This empowerment isn't just useful in intimate relationships, it's a vital life skill. And let's not forget the impact on our children and future generations. When we model and teach consent from a young age, we set up future generations for success. Kids who understand consent grow up to be adults who respect boundaries and communicate openly. It's about creating a culture where everybody feels safe and valued. By talking to kids about consent in age-appropriate ways, we can help them understand their own boundaries and respect those of others. This can start with simple things like asking permission before giving or receiving a hug, or encouraging them to speak up if they're feeling uncomfortable. These lessons build a foundation of respect and understanding that will benefit them throughout their lives. When you practice consent, you're also setting an example for others. You're helping to create a culture of respect and mutual understanding. This culture shift can have a huge impact, not just in our personal lives, but in our communities. So remember, consent is about more than just saying yes or no. It's about ongoing communication, mutual respect, and empowerment. By practicing and promoting consent, we can build healthier relationships and a more respectful society, paving the way for a brighter future for our kids and future generations. Thank you for joining me in this important conversation about consent. I encourage you to reflect on your own behaviors and challenge harmful norms. Educate yourself and those around you about the importance of consent. And don't be afraid to have these conversations, whether it's with your partner, with your friends, or with your kids. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts and your reflections in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and continue this conversation. Together, we can build a world where everybody feels safe, respected, and valued. Remember, real strength comes from empathy, understanding, and connection. Stay strong, take care, and let's keep moving forward together.